Hello and welcome to MeowMix, a Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Jerry. Unfortunately, Steven is currently in his final interview for Real Housewives of Charlotte, so he cannot make it with me today to go over this drumming that the Carolina Panthers took from New Orleans Saints. So, unfortunately, the season has ended in a Carolina Panthers loss to the New Orleans Saints 33-7. The score looks like it was pretty much all New Orleans, but there was a little bit of a chance up until about the third quarter, and Bridgewater just gave it up. So before I go into too much details, we're going to go ahead and go to our three key plays of the game. Starting off, first quarter, Saints first possession, 4th and 1 from Carolina's 21. Taysom Hill runs up the middle for 5 yards for a first down. Now, this was kind of a heartbreaker. You had their first drive, and then you could pretty much get them off the field, get your offense back on there. Taysom Hill just ran straight up the middle, not even a doubt. The next play, Drew Brees hit Jared Cook for 18 yards, touchdown. Wow, what a horrible way to start the game, especially Carolina's first drive was just nothing, 3 and out. Second key play of the game, second quarter, game tied 7 at a piece. Carolina has the ball on New Orleans 18, 1st and 10. Bridgewater draws back to pass, passes to the middle. DJ Moore picked off. I don't understand why he threw this ball. It was coverage. There was 3 New Orleans Saints all over DJ Moore. And it wasn't even a great pass where only DJ Moore could catch it. No, it was just a horrible pass. Bridgewater had one of his worst games as a Carolina Panther today, and this pass just kind of started it off. Now, our third key play to the game, third quarter, Panthers down 19-7. Carolina on New Orleans 19, 1st and 10. Bridgewater passed deep right for Ian Thomas and picked off. You're getting the feeling that was it. That was it. If they would have gone in there, scored a touchdown down by 5, they still had a chance. Nope. And this was another just horrible pass. It was nowhere near Ian Thomas. It was short. Saints guy just ran up, grabbed it. That was pretty much the ball game. I mean, Carolina quarterbacks were picked up 5 times because Bridgewater was actually benched in this game, which rightfully so. He kind of was dancing around. He had a ice pack on his ankle after he was pulled, but it was kind of funny because they said originally it was a thigh injury, and then you show him with ice on his ankle, and his play was just awful. Just awful. Looking at his stats here, he went 13 of 23, 176 yards, and those 2 really bad interceptions. I mean, red zone interceptions, you can't give those up, especially when you're playing a team like New Orleans. PJ Walker stepped in, didn't have much better luck. 5 for 14, 95 yards, and 3 interceptions. So that totals the 5 interceptions today. Just overall, it just proves to me this team needs a better quarterback. I think it has a lot of pieces in place for next year, but quarterback is not a piece that is put together right now. Moving on, Ronnie Smith got his first touchdown today. Congratulations, the only score for the Panthers. He rushed 10 times for 40 yards and that 1 touchdown. He had an up and down game. He had the touchdown, but for the most part, nothing really electric out of him. His long was only 8 yards. Maybe if they gave him a little bit more chance, but this team is not a running game team now. Now, Tommy Stevens, activated from the practice squad, used to actually be on the New Orleans Saints practice squad. He was the guy, the tight end, I use quotes, that Carolina really liked, but New Orleans drafted him in the 7th round just so we couldn't sign him. And he played for us today. He played quarterback, but he ran the ball 4 times for 24 yards. I could see it. I like that little, gimmick / that non-Cam Newton type of guy who can run up the middle and try to get you the couple yards that you need on 3rd and 4th down. Teddy Bridgewater also ran 3 times for 7 yards, and Curtis Samuel had 3 rushes for 3 yards. He did not look that good rushing the ball today, but he did look good receiving the ball. He had 11 targets, 7 receptions, 118 yards. I mean, in the first half, he was the only guy making plays out there on this team. Later on in the second half, DJ Moore got some garbage time yardage. He had 11 targets, 5 receptions, 101 yards. Robbie Anderson, I don't understand it. He had such a strong start to the season. Now he's 3 receptions, 40 yards on 7 targets. He did have one really nice catch down the sideline from PJ Walker. It was 31 yards. I mean, the ball was placed perfectly, and Robbie Anderson just tiptoed the line and got it in. Just running down the rest, Pharaoh Cooper had 1 reception, 9 yards, and Rodney Smith had 1 reception, 4 yards. Ian Thomas was targeted 3 times, 1 reception, -1 yard. Oh, and he had one big drop too that would have brought a first down. I know I said we had a lot of pieces. Tight end is not one of them either. So in the offseason, I feel tight end, quarterback are definitely something they're going to be targeting in the offseason. Now, moving over to defense and what the New Orleans Saints were able to do with them. Drew Brees, 22 out of 32, 201 yards and 3 touchdowns. Kind of a Drew Brees type of game. Not very flashy high numbers, but gets the job done. You know, you give him an opening, he's going to complete that pass. Rushing the ball, all their running backs weren't able to play today. Alvin Kamara, not able to play. Latavius Murray, not able to play. They had to start a Tony Jones Jr., a rookie today, and Ty Montgomery, formerly of the Green Bay Packers. He used to be a slot wide receiver, converted to running back, and I guess he is back to slot receiver. He had a 100-yard game against this defense. 18 rushes, 105 yards. He did break one off for 36 yards, but this defense's run defense was finally getting better, and it looks New Orleans just chewed them up. Taysom Hill had 7 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. Tony Jones Jr. had 3 rushes, 13 yards. I don't know. I don't know where that run defense went to, if they went ahead, packed up, and were ready for the offseason, but they did not look good. Now, during the broadcast, they brought up that Emmanuel Sanders needed 8 receptions to get 60 receptions on the year, and then he gets a nice little fat paycheck bonus incentive, and they wanted him to get that. Sean Payton and the New Orleans staff wanted him to get him 13 targets. 13. He got his 9 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. A lot of these were just like little dunk dip-offs passes to him too, just to get those receptions. But good for him. He collects a nice little paycheck for that. Marquez Callaway, 3 receptions, 51 yards. Jared Cook, 4 receptions, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Little Jordan Humphreys, I'm not making a joke, that's his name. 1 reception, 17 yards. Austin Carr, 1 reception, 11 yards. Taysom Hill, 1 reception, 5 yards. Adam Troutman, 1 reception, 5 yards. Man, a lot of these guys have 1 reception. That's how Drew Brees goes. He spreads that ball around. Juwan Johnson, 1 reception, 4 yards. Ty Montgomery, 1 reception, 2 yards. About this game, you kind of wonder who wanted to play this game, because New Orleans definitely wanted to play it, and Carolina towards the end, they looked like they were defeated and they were ready to go home. No one on defense really wanted to play that hard. Now, Sam Franklin had a nice hit, but for the most part, they just walked all over this defense. Can't say much about it. And our defense just let them. Trey Ballaston led us with tackles, 10 total tackles, 1 sack, and a tackle for loss. Shaq Thompson had 10 tackles. Jermaine Carter, 8 tackles. He had a solid game. Another little game from him. He had one pass deflected. If he would have whipped his head around a little bit sooner, he could have had a pick, but he wasn't. Jeremy Chin had kind of a quiet game. He's had a few quiet games in a row now. 7 total tackles, 1 QB hit where he did force a fourth down on it. It was a third down. He rushed the passer, and Drew Brees just had to get rid of it before he got annihilated by him. Dante Jackson gave up a couple big plays. Overall, 5 total tackles, 1 pass deflection. Rasul Douglas, he's continuing to struggle as well, 4 total tackles and was beat a few times himself. Bravian Roy, 4 tackles. Pretty good job. Not going to go over every single player here. F.A. Obata had another sack and a fumble. He got cut in training camp, and he looks to be one of the better players on our defensive line right now. I mean, Brian Burns, obviously the top guy, Derek Brown, but rotation wise, I don't see how you can let him go. I think you have to bring him back. He just seems to add that little oomph whenever he's in there. I don't know if he's a full-time starter, but I think as a rotational guy, I think he's really good. And I think we need to keep him around. Good story too, but for the most part, he's a really good player, it seems like, and he seems to be willing to do whatever they ask him to do. Marquise Haynes, quiet day. Derek Brown, quiet day. I did see him get a couple hurries, and he did also have a QB hit, so he just didn't add up in the stat sheet again. That's how he goes. Looking over this, Joey Sly, he had 1 extra point. No big deal. No attempts. It seems like the team just did not want to try any field goals at all. I think they're in the position of moving on from him and wanting to see what this offense could do without him, or going for it on 3rd or 4th downs. They went 2 for 4. Not the greatest. Mostly running the ball. Rodney Smith, up the middle. I know I like it. And Stevenson did one as well. I have no problem with going for it again. And, they didn't run the ball and get it that time. So I have no problems with that. This is, this is what you are when you're 5-10 and you're playing a team that's going for the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. I mean, you got to try, make things happen. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, there's not much else to go over on this game. I mean, the Panthers just lacked energy on the second half. They once Bridgewater threw that second red zone interception, the game just completely and utterly they just fell flat. I mean, they went 1 for 4 in the red zone. 1 for 4. You can't do that. I mean, I kind of glossed over PJ Walker just because, I mean, at that point, the game was pretty much out of hand, but he couldn't do much else. He couldn't do much better. I mean, he walked in there and he threw an interception. I think at one point he was 0 for 5, 0 yards in an interception. I mean, he got a little bit better when the Saints played, backup defense, prevent. They don't want to, give up too many big plays, but they gave up a few like 20-yarders or so over the middle. But once they battened down the hatches and, didn't want to let them go in and score, they didn't. Well, this is a nice way to cap off the season. And I say nice that sarcastically. Honestly, the loss helps the Panthers in the draft order. Unfortunately, a lot of the other games we needed teams to win didn't win. Didn't win. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go over my heroes and zeros for this game. Not many heroes on this game. It could go to one of 2 people, in my opinion, Curtis Samuel or DJ Moore. Both had over 100 yards receiving. I'm giving it to Curtis Samuel just because he seemed to make the plays when it was still in flux. He caught more higher percentage of passes, 7 receptions, 118 yards. He actually saved Teddy Bridgewater from an interception early. Teddy Bridgewater threw the lob up there, and Teddy Bridgewater or Curtis Samuel ran back and jumped over his guy and got a nice reception over it. I think it was a 33 yard. So he gets my hero of the game. Good job. He had a really nice season. He broke 1,000 yards, scrimmage yards for the season. That means the Panthers had 4 players cross the 1,000-yard scrimmage yards for the season. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Mike Davis. And they ended with 5-11. So again, some nice little pieces hid here. They just, they need a few more to really start competing. Hopefully they can get some in free agency and draft. Now, the zero. I think everybody already knows who I'm picking for this. He has looked lackluster lately, and this game was no different. He got benched. Teddy Bridgewater, 13-23, 176 yards, 2 interceptions. He threw 5 passes that could have been intercepted, and only 2 of them were. One, DJ Moore saved and got a nice little jump over 2 guys and reception. Another one was just a drop by Greedy Williams. Yeah, that one could have been taken to the house. And then the 2 others that were picked off. So Teddy Bridgewater, the experiment I think is done. I think you will be on this roster due to your contract next year and maybe be a stopgap quarterback until a rookie is ready. So I don't foresee us keeping him long term. I like the signing in the offseason. It just didn't pan out. His deep throws just aren't accurate enough to be a franchise quarterback. He's good at those short passes, but when he tries to force the ball, he just doesn't have the long accuracy for it. But overall, that is our show today. We will be going over our contest winner later this week, as well as our year-end review. So we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like our show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on our show. Everybody, stay safe out there and keep pounding.